Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we take a look at this, that, and the other. The end. No, I'm just kidding. We take a look at news from our city, from our state, and our country. We take a look at your wonderful comments, ideas, and suggestions on how to best connect with each other and with this destination, Puerto Vallarta, as a community of English-speaking locals. Today is Friday. And very appropriately, we had our disco presentation yesterday. I'll tell you about how that went in a little while. But first, it is Friday, October 27. It's starting to get cooler in the mornings. It's drier than it was just a couple of weeks ago. And of course, the city is turning orange, just like my shirt, because Day of the Dead is right around the corner. And if you think I'm wearing this shirt just as a coincidence, no, I'm very much happy to be in an orange frame of mind. This morning, as always, we welcome everyone to our little gathering, and particularly those of you that are watching live for the first time. If you're new to Coffee and Headlines, at least the live experience, feel free to let us know by writing the word new in your comment. We'll give you a nice little welcome. Doesn't amount to much, but we want to make sure that everybody that watches feels welcome. Along those lines, we want to welcome those of you that watch later on in the day through YouTube. We're happy to see you, and we happily enjoy the fact that you subscribe and click. I don't remember where YouTube puts their little buttons, but you know what to do. If you like what you see here, all you have to do is push that button for liking and for subscribing so that you can follow all the good stuff that we feature here. Today is a slightly scattered day between the combination of not a lot of news, or at least not a lot of good news. There's a lot of stuff coming out of Acapulco, of course, but there's only so much we can do until we find out of specific relief efforts that we can participate in, should we choose to do that. But I also have a bunch of community announcements that have reached me, or that have landed in my inbox, and I want to share a couple of those today. So let me switch over to the news, and this is one of the few real news that we have for today. Governor Alfaro has once again confirmed that after his term is over, he will retire from politics. This indicates a couple of things. One of them, that Governor Alfaro is not particularly keen on the way his party and other parties are making decisions as of late, and he's been very outspoken about this fact. And the second one is that the Movimiento Ciudadano party, which is a party that he's affiliated with, has determined a number of pre-candidates that might be eligible to become the next governor of Jalisco. However, We won't mention them just yet. We're going to wait until the final candidate has been determined to from each one of the parties to give more specific information. Sorry to step away from the microphone, but I was looking for my little buddy, Dr. Simi. And why is Dr. Simi in the broadcast today? Well, because I'm not the only proud owner of my own Dr. Simi. It turns out that Pope Francis and I now have something in common. He published in his Instagram account a photograph of him with the two Dr. Simis that have been gifted to him. One dressed as a pope, obviously, and another one dressed as a charro, which is perfectly appropriate if you ask me. Today is that day of the month in which we welcome the suggestions from the New York Times in terms of new classical albums that we may want to consider. And as always, I'm going to share those with you in the show notes. Then we have this. This came to me by way of our dear friend, Paul Christ of Hotel Mercurio, who is also a community partner here at Coffee and Headlines. And today, Hotel Mercurio is having some sort of vaccination fair in which health professionals are going to be available to dispense the influenza or flu vaccine, the hepatitis B vaccine, and the tetanus, I hope that's how you say it in English, tetanus vaccine. And of course, all the health authorities will be present to answer any questions about which vaccines might be helpful to you. So if you've been dreading going to the health center and you want to take advantage of this kind arrangement that Paul Christ at Hotel Mercurio has put together, you can go from 10 to 4, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can bring your bathing suit. You can stay and have a lovely meal at the hotel, poolside restaurant, and hell, you might as well bring your bathing suit and stick around and have a pool swim after your vaccine. Actually, I don't know if any of those things are a good idea or not, but what is a good idea is to be proactive about our health. So keep this in mind. This is going on today from 10 to 4 at Hotel Mercurio, and we want to thank Paul, of course, for always spearheading these events. And speaking of events, there's a new ensemble theater troupe in Puerto Vallarta showcasing local talent in full-length plays. They are called Teatro Sin Borders, or Theater Without Fronteras or Borders. And this is the brainchild of my dear friend Sandy, who used to do community theater in Boston and has been struggling since before the pandemic. She moved to Puerto Vallarta right before the pandemic, and then the pandemic came, which has made it really challenging to start a new theater company. But after all kinds of trials, they are here and they're ready to present Lend Me a Tenor. One opera, two leading men, three adoring women. What could go wrong? Everything, it says. And the performances are going to be during the month of November on select dates between 9 and 25. And this will take place at the American School of Puerto Vallarta in the Marina, where the theater company has some sort of a residency. So if you wish to attend this is something you can consider. I understand that tickets are very affordable at only 250 pesos per ticket, which is a bargain for an English-speaking production in Puerto Vallarta. So this is something that you may want to consider. Again, we will post. We did not get any information in terms of contact information from them, but we will look for their Facebook page and we'll include it in the show notes. And before we dive into your comments for the day, I want to let you know that yesterday, while I was at the Joint Boutique and Co-work Hotel, I realized, or I was told that inquiries and ticket sales for the Day of the Dead presentation that is going to take place this coming Wednesday are starting to move. Now, if this is an indication of if this behaves in any way like for the presentation that we did for Mexican Independence Day, chances are that tickets will sell quickly. When we did our cultural musical presentation of Mexico's Independence Day celebration, the room was practically full. So if you are considering attending this and you are located near the Joint Boutique Hotel and Co-work, you may want to purchase your your tickets ahead of time. This is going to be a lot of fun because it's going to be full of traditions that we're not very familiar with, and I'm really excited as I build this presentation. And this, of course, brings us to our chit chat section. And let me put that on my screen so that I can see what you guys are up to for this weekend. And let's see. I see good mornings and I see good afternoon from David in Boston. Hello, David. Let's see what else. And yes, I am drinking wonderful coffee that Karen Miller gifted me. Thank you very much, Karen. You saved me because this week I was so swamped with with preparation for disco. It's not even funny. Oh, and I'll tell you a funny anecdote. In the presentation for disco, we were, let me do this for a second. Boop. There you go. In the presentation for disco, we reach a point in the chronology in which we are so saturated with disco music. And everybody, even musicians that are not disco musicians, are putting out disco songs just to try to cash in. And in my research, I was so incredibly surprised and flabbergasted by a disco song that I wonder if it was even released at the time. Frank Sinatra singing Night and Day disco style. I really wish I could play it here on the broadcast, but I get in trouble with YouTube for doing that. But I think I played it and I knew that everybody would cringe, and I think we lasted for like 20 seconds or maybe just a little bit longer than that. And somebody in the audience says, okay, just stop. Frank Sinatra doing disco is too much. And we laughed about it. So if you want that link in the show notes today, just write Sinatra in your comment and I'll be so very happy to make you have a cringy moment this morning. Okay. And we don't want that loud. Thank you very much. There you go. Let's see what we have. Oh, congratulations, Dan. We missed you at the presentation yesterday, but I figured if you're not there, that means that you got the easy technician to give you internet, and that is ultimately so very important. I'm glad you were able to resolve that. There you go. I just wanted to turn that down a little bit. Let's see. Pum 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 pum. Oh, that's a new one for me. Somebody watching us from a dentist office. Thank you very much for checking in, Doug. I hope it's nothing serious. Let's see. I was on the Malecon last night watching them assemble the Katrinas, says Gary. I have to throw in some shade about that. Not everybody is pleased with the giant Katrina. Why? Because the city needs so much TLC right now, and some people find it inconceivable that the city would be spending money just erecting a giant Katrina in the Malecon. I see it as an investment, I suppose, because it brings tourists, and tourists bring revenue, and revenue is good for the city. But I can see how some people might feel a little bit impatient. Let's see what else we have. Looking for cues. There is a cue. That guy who commented about the PV trash situation is losing it. Others have called him out on his opinions or fabricated opinions. I would take anything that comes out of his mouth with a grain of salt, maybe in his case a cup of salt. Well, Frank, as I mentioned yesterday, I was less concerned. I thank you for your comment, but I'm personally less concerned about what he says and more concerned about how um, we react to when people from outside point our our deficiencies. Whether the guy is real or not real, and whether he's getting what he deserves or not, it is what it is, and I have very little control over that. Let's see what else we have. Oh shit, that's right. Where's the weather? I am that scattered this morning. Let's have weather. My bad. Thank you very much. It's partly cloudy. You're welcome, says Snarky Weather. It is 28 degrees right now. Humidity is at 68%. Our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 83. Today, we can expect a humid and partly cloudy day with a chance of rain of 21%, a high of 32, and a low of 23. Tomorrow, Saturday, mostly cloudy skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 37%, a high of 31, and a low of 24. And Sunday, we wrap up the weekend with mostly cloudy skies in the morning with rain in the afternoon, a high of 32, and a low of 24. Tómala. Now, where were we? Thank you very much for that, JC. Where's the weather? It's outside in the window. Oh, thank you very much for that, John. I really appreciate it. I was glad that you were there. There's more good stuff coming up, and part of the things I need to get caught up with this weekend is scheduling the music presentations for November and December. At least two of you want to hear Sinatra doing Night and Day, so I'll definitely include that in the show notes for this morning. And this brings us to the end of today's broadcast. Yes, which means we cue the appreciation sign. Thank you very much for supporting Coffee and Headlines with your subscriptions, your memberships, and your occasional coffees. We have new members or renewing members to mention tomorrow, so I'm excited and very grateful for that. So it is Friday, so whatever it is that you have planned for the day or for the weekend, go seize it. I'm going to have a fun day at home, and then I'm going to go to a fantastic dinner that I'm going to be itching to tell you all about next week. And of course, we'll be back here tomorrow with more headlines and more stories. I hope you join us, and if not, I hope I get to see you sometime soon. Have a great weekend.